0927, that would be the one. Okay, so we do not have a lot of people, it looks like, but let's do that anyway. So on this week's agenda, the contributing MD template has been made on all the active repositories. So I think I put it on forum too, yeah. So we have a contributing MD document. We made a template that includes, you know, what kind of contributions people can do and all that. There is a link to the YouTube playlist where people can learn how to set up their development environment, submit pull requests. It's general for all DNN stuff, so it covers doing it for a module, for the DNN platform, and for the persona bar. But the first 3 videos explain how to set up and how a little bit of how GitHub works and stuff. So I hope that helps people getting started on contributing. And on all the projects, I've put a link on the README, which shows up here, to that file. So I've done it on all the active repositories, some of them like that were just transferred, like the gallery and stuff that might be deleted and converted to C# and stuff. So I did it on the important ones. Someone tagged me on Slack. Just see if it relates to this. There's a lot of going on, presenting. Okay, so Andrew is not in the meeting and some item was related to him, so we'll postpone that to next meeting. So that's done. The feedback module has a recent update. I went through all the issues. There was like 20 something issues. Some of them could not be reproduced. Some of them were only questions. I went through all the bugs and there's a new release which includes bug fix and a few small improvements that we already had pull requests for. So what's left on that one now is C# conversion. It's currently still a Visual Basic project. I have converted it to C# and was able to do a build. There is some issues still with plugging the events, so some events don't fire, and I ran out of time to complete this properly. So I did not commit those changes. I just put the file here of the current status of things. If anyone has time to handle that, good. If not, I'll get back to it when I have some time and actually make a commit when it's not broken. So that's that. The forums module. So in our initial discussions, we were debating if we should maintain forums or active forums. DNN acquired active forums a couple years back, and that's something that is now considered a DNN project, so it's open source, and it's not tied to anything. It's totally no strings attached. So we can decide to maintain one or the other or both. Our initial discussion on this was that forums was a bit outdated compared to active forums, and we might provide an upgrade path from forums to active forums and then maintain active forums. Now we need to rehave that discussion because Ilpo Juvender, who is on the meeting, has been maintaining forums on a separate repository. And Ilpo, can you confirm if it works with DNN 9.2?
Haven't even tried, but I doubt, since it has these references to the modules that are no longer there, so guess not.
Okay, so I guess the first step would be Because Active Forums works on 9.2. It has been recently updated. However, the persons who are owners of that repository are not replying to anybody. So I don't know what's happening with that. Any module that's maintained elsewhere has a risk of being abandoned. The goal of bringing all the former core modules into the DNN community repository is that there will always be someone around. If that does not happen with Active Forums, I don't think that's a viable option. So I think we should maintain forums.
Yeah, and also the migration path, I was looking at the SQL and also digging into what's in the Codeplex. Back in the days, this SQL was still maintained, and there was leftovers for that SQL, especially that it destroyed, for example, on multi-site. When Active Forum was set up on multi-site, it destroyed pretty much those other forums. So yeah, there is a lot of things to be done on that.
Okay, so I think at this point, unless there's good reasons not to, I think we should maintain forums only.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a simpler approach, at least for now.
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna try to next week, if time allows, to give it a test on 9.2. I know you mentioned you did a first round of cleanup of deprecated APIs, so it might be working fine. That's something we'll need to test. So we'll get back to that on the next meeting, but at least it's good news that we have a maintainer and we got that repository back into DNN community.
Yeah, it's compiled with DNN 8 binaries, the latest one.
Okay, and if there's no deprecated APIs warnings, there's like a 99% chance that it's okay. So that's good news. After proper testing, okay, I don't have any customers who uses it, so I don't have a good test bed to really confirm if all the features work fine. You do have that, Ilpo? You have sites using
Yeah, I have the older version of the site that is running currently on my own site, and of course I can duplicate the production site as well.
Okay, cool.
So I have there 2,500 posts and a couple of sub forums and so forth. So yeah.
Won't be long. I just need to invite someone else here. Why don't I see the invite? Copy URL. There we go. Okay, so that's good news. As I was working on bringing forums into the permissions are fine. Ilpo, everything worked fine.
Yeah, as far as I can see, yes.
Awesome. If you need anything, just let us know. You are also on Slack. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so as I was doing that, I also went through the Excel sheet. For those who weren't here, I made an Excel sheet that has all the former core modules. There's people working on making this an actual module that will be live instead of manually updating this stuff, but basically that's all the formerly included modules, so the core modules. The red ones here were never transferred yet to GitHub, and they're the least used ones of all those. Everything in green here is on the DNN community GitHub. Like half of them have an official maintainer. The other ones, we just together work on them. And basically that sheet collects, the latest activity that relates to code. So I have updated all those dates and the number of issues and pull requests currently. So we did a good cleanup on the pull requests. The issue count is kind of low, it's not bad. A couple modules that I think need to have a round of good work on them. I think the blog module, that's currently the one with the most issues and open pull requests. and the latest activity was on July. So if I have time, that's one I'm gonna be trying to coordinate with Peter if we can bring that number down. And what has changed from last time I made this sheet, I was collecting the total downloads, and now last week when I went, I collected the latest release version number of downloads. So that gives us a bit of an idea of how many people are using those modules. So they are still pretty much in use from what I can see. And most of them work DNN 9.2. We have to confirm. Oh, I think I already did tests on the forum module. They were not working, but I had the original, not the one that you already worked on. So this one I'll need to update this sheet. So it's this sheet looks much better than it looked a couple of weeks back, and that's good news. Okay, stuff that we started that is not finished. Well, we just talked about active forums. So right now, the current intention is to maintain only DNN forums, unless we hear here, back from active forums. Okay. Automated builds, Andrew was working on that. He could not attend this meeting, is very busy, so that will get postponed to the next meeting. The store module, Sebastian was supposed to speak with Gilles Epigochet, who has been maintaining that in the past. He showed some interest in and to continue to maintain that, but he also had a couple rants about the status of DNN. So I did not hear back from them, and they are not in the meeting today. So I'm gonna postpone to next meeting that one of these persons is there. Repository module, Sebastian was supposed to contact Steve Fabian for a status update. He's not in the meeting today, so I'm gonna postpone this too. Extension catalog, Ernst, Mike, and David were working on that. They have a good progress. It's very nice. And last meeting, we had a couple discussions on making this a service that can then be consumed by either a DNN module or a mobile app or open content or anything else for that matter. And on that API, we could be caching GitHub information because the GitHub API is very limited on the number of times you can use it. Oh, Andrew is here. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm just going to finish what I was saying on this point, and I'm going to go back to stuff that was relating to you. So yeah, so David is not on the meeting, and a status update on this will have to go on another meeting. So postpone to next meeting. Andrew, we had this item that was relating to you, automated builds. Any news, anything you want to share?
So last time we had some good discussion with about the automated bills and everything that we were doing with it. Unfortunately, I have not had time to
Okay.
To really do anything with it other than the conversation that we had last time, which just to reiterate, you know, the community seems very, or our group here seems very settled on the idea, not settled, but an agreement is the word I was looking for, yes. So we're all in agreement that we're going to build the cake scripts and then invoke those through VSTS so we can make sure we can handle the builds locally and on the server, and we're going to be creating unique builds for each core module.
Cool, so that's still the plan.
Yeah, that's still the plan. We've kind of gone full circle in the plan. That's why I just wanted to reiterate that, because we had conversations of, oh, let's use a YAML file, let's put it all in VSTS, let's put it all in Cake, and we've kind of just really weighed out the pros and cons. So it's been kind of nice that we haven't jumped into anything yet, so we can really make the most appropriate decision for the community.
Yeah, the discussion was around being still able to build locally,
Yeah.
and that any of the chosen solutions would be properly documented for people to understand what's happening. Other than that, the technology behind is whatever we choose to use, but I think those two conditions need to be met.
Yeah. I'm not going to promise an update for next meeting on this, but I'm hoping I'm gonna free up some time. I've just been extremely busy with some billable work and some personal things that have been coming up.
Yeah, paying customers are the worst because you kind of have to work.
Right, right. We're releasing product next week, which is going to be really exciting. But you know how
Cool.
that goes.
Okay, so I think that was pretty much what I had your name on. Okay, so yeah, so that's postponed. So this meeting will be short. Documentation and issue templates. Okay, last meeting we had a demo on GitHub Pages. The discussion went a bit on it was maybe overcomplicated, overkill, and that the wiki could be fine. But after a demo from David, you actually don't need to set up everything to make a documentation change. So the person that's going to start it will need a little bit more work, but then contributions can come in very easily. There's an example of that on the document. I don't have an example on the core modules, but there was an example on NV Quick Team. So basically, the documentation would be a GitHub page. So it's basically the repository name.github.io slash, sorry, the organization.github.io, which I think we don't even need to register because it's a github.io, so that would cost 0, and then slash the repository name, and that pulls the documentation folder and uses a template which we could customize to have a DNN look and feel, and everything else is just pulled from Markdown files. So for someone wanting to just contribute and update the documentation, it would be part of the repository, which means that could be done as a pull request by anybody. And it's basically the docs folder, and there's Markdown files, and you just go to whatever installation, and that's a Markdown file that it's part of the repository. You can submit a pull request on that, and in the behind the curtains, it just takes this and makes it pretty according to the pre-built theme. So what we see here is exactly what we had in the Markdown, and we can just basically build a DNN theme, and that's it. It just makes the documentation look pretty. So the persons on that, Ernst and David. Oh, Ernst is here. Any updates regarding GitHub Pages, Ernst, or it's pretty much the same status as it was last meeting? Ernst is muted. Do we have anything on chat? No. So I guess Ernst might be able to only listen. Oh.
Yeah, I'm talking on my phone, so I'm not seeing that much.
Oh, okay. How are you?
A bit busy. What's new in this life?
We are all.
Yeah. So I just arrived at home. I put on my phone,
Okay, no problem.
and I said it. I'm joining now. Yeah.
Do you have anything new about documentation or automatic release notes, or are we talking about this on the next meeting?
I have something special on the automatic release note. I shared the information in the Slack channel. I saw a number of people react on that, including Oliver Hein, I think, and then David, or no, Mitch, because I think it would be interesting for DNM platform itself as well. But I have done nothing more on the automatic documentation generation or release note generation since then. I've been working on the events module on a new release where I solve a number of issues in there. Yeah, and it's a little bit work. I hope to finish that next week. So
Okay,
that was
awesome.
the past 2 weeks.
So yeah, like I was saying, this meeting will be short. Cool. So that's good. As I mentioned earlier, because I know we had a chat about this. I published a new release of the feedback module.
Yeah. I saw that you did a new release on the Visual Basic version and had some problems left on the C# version.
Yeah, I didn't want it to happen like it happened to the other ones. I think I went a bit quick in the C# conversion, and there's a lot of events that were not plugging in correctly. And I wanted to do more testing, and I noticed a couple things, and so I just like kind of stopped the C# conversion there. However, I didn't want to commit it because I don't want to commit something that's not working. But I just put in the, what was it? It was feedback? No. Yeah, feedback.
That is in the top somewhere. Yeah.
I just put on the issue C# conversion. I just dropped the zip file of the current status of the C# conversion in case someone wants to go there. If not, whenever I have time, I'm going to continue that.
Yeah. I find the same problem with the events module in the conversion to C#, that the number of click events are lost, especially if you use the DNN command button, I think. Control. Okay. You have to add the click events manually in the initial procedure behind, in the code behind. Yeah.
On the feedback module, what I've seen a lot is in VB, you could just define a method and add at the end of the method handles and whatever the event is. And no C# conversion tools understand that properly.
Right.
I've tried a couple ones. If you or anybody has other stuff to convert, I bought for another project Instant C#, which is like $150 product. So if anyone needs to convert something and wants to give it a try with a different tool than the free ones available, just let me know and I can convert and send you the result. It did a decent job compared to other ones I've tried, but I think there's no perfect tool.
No. Is there a small module around that's still in VB that we want to convert to C#? In the
there's 4 or 5 of them that are still on Codeplex. They are not the most popular ones, though.
No, because the ones I converted from Codeplex to GitHub, I think 3 years back, I was looking at what modules are being updated or downloaded, and I left. I think I did 70% of the core modules at that point in time. And the other 30%, I tried to contact the one who was maintaining them, or I saw that the latest release at that time was at least 1 or 2 years before that period. So of the number of people we want to migrate those modules from Codeplex to GitHub, but since there was no release or almost no downloads for 1 or 2 years, I left them around at the archive of Codeplex.
My initial goal when I started this core modules project was to make them all DNN 9.2 compatible, and I was really focused on that. And as time evolves, I think we should focus more on maintaining the popular ones. And if there's time left, we'll check the less popular ones.
Are there simple popular ones currently that are on GitHub and still on VB? Because I really would like to try
Good question.
with your conversion program. I think something like the wiki, is that still in VB?
Ilpo, can you confirm the NN forum is still on VB?
It is in VB.
Yeah,
just there and there.
So yeah, that
would be a
perfect
hard
candidate
one.
for that as well.
That would be a newsfeed. Well, yeah, newsfeed. I just did it. Active Directory. I don't want to touch that one with a 12-foot stick.
Right.
The blog is also a large one. Map, but that is documents. Documents is a medium one.
It's not that difficult, I think, documents.
Yeah, document is a medium-sized module.
Okay. I would like to try a conversion because I have a program as well, and maybe I can put them next to each other. If you can do the conversion on the documents module.
Sure. So let me
just on an issue as a zip file on an issue. I want to compare that with the one that the program that I have, VB convert to C# or something like that, to see if one or the other is better than the other one.
I think the forum one is also quite easy since it has just a lot of stuff dealing with the forum.
Okay.
Building up the UI components. So a lot of that code is dealing with that stuff.
Okay.
What was the name of that instance C#? What I liked about this tool is that when you load your project, when you load your VB project, either project or source folder, if there's no project file, and you hit convert, it's going to ask you all the dependencies it could not find automatically because they come from NuGet or something like this. It's going to actually ask you to locate those DLLs, and it's going to read the metadata from all those DLLs to better understand what's happening. And I think it did a good job at converting type inference that is really loose on VB and very strict on C# because it has those DLLs to check what it should return back and stuff. So that was nice. The other nice thing in the result source code, it puts you comments, notes, and warnings directly in the source code, right where it thinks that, you know, there's something a human should check. So I found this very nice, but it didn't do a perfect job, obviously. But and you can also, after the conversion is done, you have like a before-after video window with the VB and C#. And if you click on a VB line, it brings you to the C# equivalent line. So it's very good for comparing the VB to C#. So yeah, nice tool.
But essentially, the tool that I've been using does roughly the same, with a small difference. You have to have a project that builds correctly. So it does have the reference DLL already in the project.
Okay.
So it knows that's the starting point. But again, it gives you some there's a number of options in there because I want to try to find different options because the program that I'm using, you have various solutions what you want to do. For example, you can convert everything to a var, or it will try to do a more strong typing principle to C# conversion. So there are a number of items there. I would like to try to see what one program does, if I can get the other one to do it better by having better settings or so. Yeah.
That one too has a lot of options, even for code formatting, you know, how you want to display stuff in it. I found it kind of nice, even if it's not perfect.
Okay.
Oops. So yeah, so I'll send you a sample of that probably next week.
Yeah.
In the new business section, We've been recording these videos and publishing the videos on a blog post since we started. Sometimes we have a private and a public part of the video so that we don't publish everything if we discuss security issues or stuff like this. If I cannot attend, the meetings are recorded in the cloud, and then I have to watch it and rewind and cut parts we don't want public and stuff. It uses a lot of time that I think we could use somewhere else. The DNN tag meetings, they have just made a change to not record the videos and just publish the meeting notes instead of the videos. What do people think about that? About publishing basically our agenda instead of the videos?
Do we have any idea how many people or how many times the video is viewed?
That is a good question.
Because if it's viewed 1,000 times, I think it will be interesting to people. If there are only 2 or 3, we can change. What are really, I don't think there's a need for recording the whole video, because I don't think many people are viewing, let's say, an hour or so, unless you're part of the group and want to review what has been done. That's what I've been doing with the technology group meetings.
So you see,
yeah,
our first meeting had 114 views.
not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. If we go to our second meeting, 50 views, everybody. 7 views, 23 views. So yeah, people are viewing that.
What if we do not record the whole meeting, but let's say at the end or at the beginning, we have a 5-minute video discussing or gathering the results that we achieved during the meeting. It's a little bit work, 5 minutes summary.
That's not a bad idea. Just a summary of what we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Yes, however, sometimes we have so much stuff in the agenda that we run over 1 hour, and then we will have no time to do that 5-minute thing.
Okay.
Can we just have a confidential portion of the meeting where we could talk about that stuff?
Yeah, my thought is that, well, the discussion on the tag meetings was that viewing a 1-hour video takes time for everybody, even someone who just wants to catch up on what's happening with the community. They have to spend 1 hour to watch it. So the meeting notes, you have everything in one place. It's easy to read. You have no volume, so you can watch it if people are around you and whatever. And basically, we can clean this up to have only what we want to show public. So we don't have to worry about discussing private or sensitive stuff during the recordings, and it saves a lot of time. Second point is I have to upload this video in the drive here, which is half full, and if we go beyond that, that's going to become a paying thing. Second, I have to send Clint a link to that video, so he puts it on YouTube, and then I have to make a blog post that links to that. So it's a lot of time to make, and it takes a lot of time for people to just catch up with the latest news.
What if we just make it 5 minutes at the beginning? In this meeting,
well,
we discuss this and this and this and that.
At the beginning, we would have nothing discussed, so we would have no.
No, it's the agenda. Just a short introduction of things that we're discussing in that point. Just a summary if people want to follow up.
We could do a 5 minutes at the beginning presenting the agenda, and adding to that the text of whatever we discussed at the end.
So, Dan, I do like the idea of just releasing the meeting minutes instead of doing the videos, but it's kind of a double-edged sword for us because I also, if I miss a meeting, it's nice to be able to have the YouTube video for me as being a member of the core modules team here to be able and watch the video and see the actual discussions.
Yeah.
We could always make the videos just not searchable, so we could create the videos and just you need a direct link to access it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind if we continue with the process we have. The thing is that's time that's not invested in doing other stuff, and also we are 3 meetings late because Clint is busy, so we cannot put them on YouTube. And if they're not on YouTube, I cannot post the blog. So after this meeting, I'm gonna have 3 to post. So uploading that, cleaning up the videos, having Clint put them with the banner, creating the images for the blog post, and creating 3 blog posts, that's gonna be 4 or 5 hours that I'm not working on the core modules.
But if we skip the public publication, if we skip the blog post and just have the meeting recordings as is for the
Yes.
team.
Yeah, everybody has access to the Google Drive.
Yeah, or you can, if you have your own YouTube account, you can upload them and like Andrew says, make them private. So it's only viewable if you have the direct link. It's not searchable. Then any of the team can review what has been discussed in the meeting. And let's say in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks later or sessions later, we can delete the old ones because they're not so relevant anymore.
Right. And the point that I was trying to make, and I don't know if I was super clear. Actually, I don't think I was clear at all. I think it provides a certain level of transparency that hasn't been, seen in the DNN community with the videos. I think it's a really nice touch to have some type of video someone can go and watch, almost like this is, at the end of the day, this is kind of a community stand-up.
Yeah.
And while we sometimes drag a community stand-up to an hour, that's kind of what it is, and it's really valuable for people to go and watch the videos. I know, Microsoft and Google and the big tech companies that do a lot in the open source community, they have videos of their community stand-ups, and some of those videos, I was just watching a video from the .NET stand-up, and it was 2 hours long. And afterwards, like, yeah, this was a long one. I'm sorry, but so, and it definitely is nice to show the community the videos of what we're discussing, because it makes them feel like they're more involved, even if they're not attending the meeting.
Okay. So,
but it does take a lot of time. So, I'm not advocating necessarily either way, but I just want to point out that I think it's valuable to have the meeting notes and the videos, but I do understand that it takes up quite a bit of time to produce.
Okay, but if we just skip the blog post and we skip that it has to be in the .NET YouTube channels, and you have your own YouTube channel or YouTube account, you can upload them as a team member there or as a team lead. And if people want to view them, they're available.
Could we ask Clint if he could give you access to upload videos?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if that's one of the really big barriers, maybe that's the conversation we need to have.
Yes, because it causes a delay and it takes time on 2 persons. Yeah. Okay.
But if you have the recording and you can upload them somewhere, and you don't have to write a blog post, and they don't have to be a banner, and they don't have to be, it's just a flat recording. It shouldn't be that much more difficult than just uploading it and starting it.
Yeah, but the fact that we discuss it, I kind of agree with what Andrew said, that people might like to see this and see like a community meetup and stuff, and maybe it drives DNN popularity up, seeing that we are active. Okay, we're gonna maintain it as we're doing now. I'm gonna try to ask Clint if we can streamline the process in some way. When we initially discussed, he said that some people prefer to put them on their YouTube account and link to it with the blog. That would be perfectly fine. So that's something I could do. However, my YouTube account is full of mixed stuff, not relating to each other. So, and people see banners from there from other totally unrelated stuff. So advertising is kind of strange on YouTube. So I prefer to have them on DNN.
I think it makes sense to have it
for that reason.
At the end of the, like, we're doing work for the DNN community. So
Yeah, it's also nice that when you get on the YouTube's DNN page, you see that there's a lot of content and stuff, and we're very active. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep doing it the way we're doing now, but I'll try to chat with Clint and see if there's a way we could streamline the
Okay.
process. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. I got to drop. I'll talk to you next time.
No problem. Thanks for being there.
All right. I got.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So that's pretty much what I had on the agenda. I have a hard cut at 4, but we still have 15 minutes. Is there anything you want me to go back or anything we want to add, or are we done? I know, Ernst, you came in a little bit after
Yeah.
did those points, but we have now Ilpo in the group,
Yeah.
which has been maintaining forums, and the repository has been moved to DNN community organization. He has the right access on it, and he has everything he needs. It still has not been tested with DNN 9.2 with his version. I did initial testing, but that was the version straight out of Codeplex. So he did the first round of cleanup on the deprecated APIs. So we need to test it, and maybe we're lucky and everything is fine. And maybe we have just a little bit to fix to mark it as DNN 9.2 compatible.
Yeah.
The other part, I updated the list of modules when I was doing some cleanup. I updated the maintainers here and stuff. And I added a column for the downloads of the latest release.
Okay.
So a lot of these modules had updates. So we now have the total and the latest release. So I was kind of surprised by some of these numbers.
You don't have the date of the latest release in there.
No, I put the date of the latest code changing commit.
But not the date of the latest release, because
I did not put the date of the latest release, but that's something I can add the next time I go through all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that gives an impression if a release is 3 years old, it might be there are a large number of downloads, whereas if it is only 1 week old, there might be a very few number of downloads of the latest release.
Yeah, and then we can also divide the number divided by days and have it downloads per day or something, downloads per month. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, another thing I didn't put in the meeting, but since we still have a few minutes, let me put this here in the new business. I was reading a couple of, that relates to the symbols packages. Okay, I was reading about how the symbol file works. It's basically a map between the source code and the MSCL, the
intermediate language.
Yeah, so it basically just relates the compiled code to where it came from in the source. And, symbols. And we had a few talks. So in the past, there was an install and a source package. The source package is kind of outdated because with GitHub, you can just pull the repo and you have the source. So we were having talks about replacing the source package by a symbols or a debug package that people could install in addition to the module that would add the symbols file for debugging. And when they're done, they could uninstall this package and it would delete the symbols file. Right. I was curious about the side effects of having the symbols file there. Is there any reason to remove it? So I did some reading, and it ends up the symbols file only affects performance on .NET 1. Starting on .NET 2 and 4 and all the releases after that, the symbols package does absolutely nothing as long as you don't have an exception. so it could stay there forever.
Okay.
So we could just put the symbols file with the install package and leave it in the bin folder. That's it.
Interesting, because then we have always a better error logging.
Yeah. So we just need to update the packaging to include the symbols file, and we need to update the build options to include just the symbols file. Now, there's a couple options there. There's optimize code. This needs to stay checked, and we just need the symbols package, not the full debug info.
Right.
So that will not affect the DLL one bit, and it just also builds the PDB file, which we can bundle with the install package, and that's it. The only side effect is that it helps decompiling tools to get back the original source code correctly, but that's not an issue for us because it's open source anyway.
Right. Okay, great. Nice.
Sounds good.
Have you related back to the technology team for DNN itself?
No, I was reading that like yesterday on my cell phone. I was just curious. I was on another project and I was curious about what people thoughts were on delivering symbols file with a Windows project or for that matter anything. And yeah, if your code is compiled and obfuscated and stuff like this, you don't want to deliver it because it helps tools to decompile. But for an open source project, since after .NET 1, there is no reason to not just put the symbols there. And a lot of Microsoft products like Office and stuff like this, the normal install includes the symbol files.
Okay. Do you have a link to the information that you?
I will get that article and add it.
Okay.
It was on my cell phone, so I don't know the link anymore, but I'll find that out. So
Great. It really helps to have source code lines.
Yes.
Log. Yeah. And it's good if we make a small note what you have to include in the build settings so we still get the best performance for the DLL itself.
Yeah, I'll update this, and if I touch any other project this week, I'm gonna try to update that project to work that way. I tried to do it on another project that is not related to this, and I had some issues with the manifest moving the PDB from the package into the bin folder. So I have to investigate how, I don't know if it filters for .dll and then we don't put it in the assembly node, it goes in the files node, or I have to play a little bit on how DNN puts a symbol package, a symbol file in the bin folder. But I know the source packages are supposed to do it, the old ones. So I'm not even sure. So yeah, I have to investigate a little bit, but I'll try to make a demo on one of the modules.
Okay, great.
That could help a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, any other 7 minutes subject?